we're live. We'll give people a minute or two to join. Looks like we've got some attendees so far. I'll put our icebreaker in chat so people can see it as they join. But if you guys are joining us, we'd love to know if you have any holiday plans to build something or learn something new. Hamantika or Samik, do you guys have any time set aside to try some new tools or build something?
This might be a bit of a cliche for me, but I genuinely am going to spend some time with our ADK product. I specifically want to build a product manager sort of AI agent that will help me with a lot of the documentation and stuff. So yeah.
Nice. Hamantika, are you building anything fun?
Yes and no. So I don't have an idea yet, but then before the year ends, I wanted to, play around with N8N, and then I did that successfully. And I also have a video coming up on our DigitalOcean channel on how others can use it. So, but I really found the product super cool. And during our one of our internal demos, I also could plug it with our Gradient AI platform, and it was super fun. So I am excited to play more around with it and see if I can automate some of the processes. Like I'm planning to get more regular with posting on social media. So maybe that's something that I'll play around with, and I'll use our Gradient AI platform and N8N to do that. So yeah, this is just an idea. Maybe I'll do something very random, but yes, these are the two products that I want to play around with.
Nice, very cool.
What about you guys?
So I don't know if everybody's family has to go through this, but my mom likes to send out a Christmas card every year, and she forces my family to get all dressed up and take photos and everything. So I'm thinking of maybe playing some pranks on her. I know that we've got access to some of the new image models from Fall and OpenAI, so maybe I'll, do some subtle edits to our photo and gift it to her on Christmas and see if she notices as payback for, making our family do an entire photo shoot. So that's what I'll be doing over the holidays.
That would be
Hey,
fun.
yeah. Hey, Ben, I see your question. The recording is going to be available and shared on YouTube after the call as well. Great. Okay. I think we can go ahead and get started. If any of the attendees think of what they want to build over the holidays, feel free to throw that in chat, though, as you're listening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for our Sale to Success webinar series. We'll be talking about the ADK public preview that we launched yesterday, so it should be very exciting, hot off the press news. We've got some amazing speakers for you all. We've got Samyuk from the product team and Himantika from the developer advocacy team talking to you guys today. So our kind of plan for the call will take you through the Gradient AI platform. For those of you who are new here, we'll give you some background info, and then we'll talk about the ADK, why we built it, and how you can use it. And then Himantika will give you guys a demo. We'll come back, and then we'll talk about some other products that just launched and what's coming up. And then if we have time, we'd love to answer your questions. So with that being said, Samik, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Grace. So yeah, for anyone who's not previously had experience working with the Gradient AI platform, the DigitalOcean Gradient AI platform is a way to build, customize, and deploy AI-powered apps without the headache of managing your underlying infrastructure. Gradient already manages that for you. The core features or the core means of using the Gradient AI platform is using direct model access via serverless inference or building intelligent agents with external data, guardrails, and evaluations. So Gradient AI platform typically or technically helps you go from 0 to 1, and then from 1 on, then scale from 1 to 100 or 1,000 very quickly. And it's like a one-stop shop to do just that. All right, so as I mentioned, the Gradient AI platform is a one-stop shop for ADLC. We review the Gradient AI stack in three specific processes. So we've got the build process, the test process, and deploy. Within build, we've got things like the new image models, image and video models from FAL. We're going to talk about ADK extensively in this webinar. So we've got ADK, we've got guardrails, we've got MCP, we've got other means for you to build agents. Once you've built your agent, you need to test your agent before you can deploy it to production. So the suite of applications or features that Gradient offers, including agent evals, traceability, agent versioning, and the model and agent playground, really help you test your models as well as your agents effectively before deploying them to production. Once deployed into production, you can continue to use our agent deployments for effective deployment, the public and private endpoints that we provide, as well as a key feature around agent insights to continue to manage the performance of each of your agents. Right. So what are we trying to solve here with ADK? Basically, developers can spin agent demos very quickly, but we've realized that within Gradient AI before ADK, multi-step orchestration becomes fragile. Debugging failures is opaque. Evaluating correctness, safety, and retrieval is manual, and shipping agents require stitching together tools, infra, and glue code. So, in this current scenario, we've seen that people love building complex multi-agent workflows in code, and that's where we introduced our very own agent development kit. Grace, next slide. Yeah, so the Gradient AI agent development kit, as I mentioned, is our code first foundation for building and running agentic workflows using Gradient's core SDK, model connectivity, workspaces, CLI, and MCP support. Currently, this feature is in public preview. A few months back, we had private previewed this particular feature, gathered a lot of feedback from our private preview users, and enhanced a lot of the capabilities now to also include tracing and traces and insights, knowledge-based support, multi-step evaluations, and a unified deployment where you can define your entire agent system in code from logic to KBs to tools and deploy it with a single command on the CLI. In the future, we are also planning to bring in A2A communication. One very cool thing about ADK, which makes it a lot different as compared to other players out there, is you can literally have your code written up completely in LangGraph, bring that code that you've already written up, deploy it on DigitalOcean, and actually just use the traces, insights, and evaluations to evaluate how your code is doing or how your agent is performing before you actually deploy to production. It's very simple to get started with ADK. So the easiest, the first thing that you need to do is enable public preview. Since it's currently in public preview, you will need to enable it through the feature preview page in the DigitalOcean Cloud console. Once you have the feature enabled, all accesses to ADK should be granted within 10 to 15 minutes. You can then install the Gradient AI SDK and CLI by just running the pip install Gradient ADK command, which should download and install all of the packages for you. And then you're free to build your first agent, which I'm guessing Himantaka will now show us in the demo.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Samyak, for the wonderful introduction. And like Samyak mentioned, that we have our newest launch, which is the ADK. And with that, you can build your own agents. Or what I think is a super feature to me is that you can bring your LandGraph agents, and you can also add third-party tools and even MCPs, and then work around with the ADK. So before I speak more, let's watch some demo. And for that, I'll start sharing my screen. Here we go. Okay, we are right here. And like Samyak mentioned, since this is under our feature preview, so first thing that you need to do after you have logged into the DigitalOcean control panel is scroll down and then go to the settings and let's wait for it to load. So now under feature preview, you'll see that there is this gradient AI agent development kit option. You need to enable it. I've already enabled it, so it's all done for me. And now the next step is to go to your IDE of choice. I already have some example here. So this is an entirely empty folder, as you can see, and I'll zoom in a bit to make sure that everything is clear. So the first thing that you need to do is install the the ADK package, and for that we'll just do pip install gradient hyphen ADK. I already have it, so it says that the requirement is already satisfied, which means that I already have the package. But to be double sure, I'll just see if we are in the correct version, and it's actually there. So we have it. Now, the next thing that I'll do is to set up the basic template, and for that I need to do gradient agent init. Once you do that, you'll see that it has populated some files, and the main part where the sample code is being worked on is this main.py file. And here, if you scroll down a bit, this is a very simple hello world code, and if you see here, we are bringing our landgraph agent. And also one thing that you need to know that here we are using our serverless inference API. So if you, let's see, can I see it somewhere? No, I don't see it in this code, but we'll probably look at it in the next one. So for that, what you need to do is you'll need the model access key, and you need to add that to your environment variable. So you can either do that using the, just a second. Okay, first thing first, I need to give it workspace name. So I'll probably give it my initials as a grad demo, and I'll keep it main, and we are good to go. So next thing that I'll have to do is I'll go back to the console, and we'll move to our agent platform. Now, like I mentioned, we are using our serverless inference endpoint. So we need to go to our serverless inference endpoint. And from here, you need to create a model access key. So let's do that. I'll just do agent test demo. Test is my favorite variable name. And then you need to copy it, and you'll only see it once. So make sure that you copy it and save it somewhere. And with this serverless inference endpoint, you'll get access to a bunch of different models, which you can also check out from our documentation right here. But for now, let's focus on playing around with the ADK. So we'll go back here, and we could either do it something like export gradient model access key equals to the thing. Oops, let me just quickly clear it. And let us also just add it in the env file. Also, I'll make sure that I am revoking access to this key. So yes, here we are. And before I can run, I'll run a small curl command. I would make sure that all our requirements are there. So for that, I'll run the install requirements text requirements.txt, and everything is right there. So I'll go back to my notes app, and here is the curl command that I would like to use. Oh, yes. So it's running. So you could also, before you run this curl command, is something that I forgot to mention. You need to also run the agent. So it should be on gradient agent run, and it's okay. It's already running in another, another terminals. This is why we got the response that we saw. But for now, what we should be focusing on is how we can extend it. So there's the main.py file is where we write the code, and there are a bunch of examples that we have on GitHub. So here's the example templates repository that we have, and there's a lot of things that you can do. You could connect it to MCP tools, you could connect it to a RAG, or you could also do some web search on it. So for this particular demo, let's maybe try out the web search example. And what I'll do is that I'll just copy and paste this Python file that we have. So I already have this one right here, and I'll just copy this one. And where are we? Yes, here we are. And I'll paste it. And we also need to update some of the requirements. So I'll go back and I'll also update this requirements file, and I'll make sure that I'm running the requirements command again to make sure that every other packages that we need are installed. And now that it's right here, so the other thing that we would need, especially for this web search, is other than we already have the gradient model access key, and we'll also need you can also find it on the documentation, which is on this README file right here. You would also need the DigitalOcean API token. And for that, you need to go back to the control panel. And if you scroll down, you'll see this API option right here. So you need to generate a new token, and I'll just call it the same thing, which is HM test demo. And for now, let's just select full access. This will give us the access token. And now we need to just add it here. So let's follow the documentation. It says that we need to export DigitalOcean API token. So we'll do that here. DigitalOcean API token equals to, and I think I was in the different file. So I'll do the same thing right here. DigitalOcean API token equals to this, and I'll also copy this one and add it to my env file. Now that this is done, and we already have it running on port 8080, so if I use this curl command, it should give me an answer. So let's hope that this works. Okay, let's wait for a bit while this is probably something to do with the port, but okay, so we have the same code that I just copied running here as well. So we could also try it here. Let me see. We probably see, if you see, it's searching the web, and yes, and the response is right here. So the same thing should have also happened here, but there's probably some error that we are not able to do, but then it's exactly the same code that we saw, and it's also the same thing that we have on our templates repository right here. So the next part is, if you feel that, okay, this is good to go, what we would like to do is to deploy the agent. And for that, we use the command gradient agent deploy. So this deployment takes close to a minute or so. And while this is running, I'll go back to our console, and then we'll go to the agent platform to cover a bit on the observability and also the evals part. So if you see that this is the deployment is already on process using the gradient agent deploy command that we just saw. And here's one workspace where we have observability and evals also turned on. So this is great if you want to check logs for your agent, and then you can just turn it on from here. And then so you need to turn this one on, and then you can, if you go to view log stream, you'll be able to see some of the logs that of your agent, and you can also do this on for a particular time frame. So let's say you want to see the logs for 12 hours, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year. You could see it all here. So that's the observability part. And for the evals part, so let's go back to our agent platform. And we also have this evals part. So if you would like to evaluate with, you can add some test cases, which could be some metrics, data set, or also a star metric that you would like to add and see how your agent is performing. So these are two highlights that you could play around with, especially with the agent that you're building through the ADK. And you can also do the same thing using the CLI, and there's a full documentation on that. So if you would like to check that out, here's the link that I am right now sharing, and I would also share that in the chat below. So that's how we could. So if you see, our agent deployment is successful, and then so the same curl command that we pasted here, the only thing that we would need to replace is with this localhost with the actual endpoint URL. And for the and from where you can find the endpoint URL, if you go to this grad demo, you'll see that your endpoint URL is right here. So you just need to copy it and add it to the curl command. And that's how you can easily build and extend the agents and also deploy it on the Gradient AI platform. So these are some of the examples that we have. And if you would like to use it as it is, these are great, like we just saw. Or if you would like to extend it, you can also do that. I personally have used the ADK with our MCP server, which is the DigitalOcean MCP for app platform, and you could also play around with other MCP tools. So that's all for the demo. I hope you had fun learning it, and there's also something new that you learned out of it. If you have any questions, we are happy to answer. But yes, that was all for the demo.
I think thanks, Amantika, for this super cool demo. What's next? So we also launched knowledge base enhancements, which is currently also in public preview. This is our code first KB, allowing you to build and manage knowledge bases entirely from code. We support flexible ingestions, which includes files, Dropbox, web crawlers, and structured data sets. We have come up with a new retrieval API, which provides accurate retrieval, citations, backed answers with metadata filters available. Re-ranking is something that's going to come by not as part of this public preview, but in the near future. The APIs and SDKs for seamless integration into apps and RAG workflows. So what we are trying to do as part of our knowledge base enhancements is basically make sure that users can now use all of the amazing functionality and capabilities of DigitalOcean Gradient AI's knowledge bases through its APIs and in code. You don't necessarily need to now attach knowledge bases to agents to be able to do searches as well as retrievals. You can use our retrieval API to do those. You have flexibility when it comes to custom multi-language embeddings, as well as chunking strategies that you can use for more accurate results. What are the upcoming features that we have upcoming either in this quarter or coming soon? So either in Q1 2026 or soon. We've got the Genie, we've got new image, audio, and video models that we're going to start supporting. So multimodality models, Model Studio, which is an end-to-end platform for model discovery and deployment, and new tool support, which is tool-enabled multimodal models for automated workflows. Awesome.
Great. Thanks, Samyak and Humantica. That was awesome. It looks like we have time for questions. So if any of our audience members have a question and would like to put it in chat, we've got some time to answer them. Thanks. Samick, did Romantica's demo give you any inspiration for what you're going to use the ADK for to build over the holidays?
Yeah, yeah. I think just looking at the demo, I was a bit overwhelmed initially when I started playing with ADK, but just looking at the demo, I feel it's a lot easier to use the already given ADK templates to get started with. So yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Okay. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions, but if anybody can think of anything, we are always available if you submit a support ticket or reach out to us on social media. But thank you all so much for attending, and we're really excited to see what you built using the ADK. Oh, last question from Benjamin. Is there an ETA to add more recent Anthropic models for inference like Opus Sonnet 4.5? We should actually be releasing those this week. They should be available via serverless inference by Friday. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know when they're available, but we're hopefully targeting the end of the week. Great. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining. Romantica, Samuel, thanks again. That was awesome and very cool to follow along. So can't wait to see what everybody built. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you so much.